Do not buy turnkey real estate unless you understand this. For multiple decades, turnkey companies have promised investors that all they have to do is buy the property, sit back, collect cash payments, and look at your income statement. It sounds good, right? But let's really get into it. With turnkey companies, normally they promise investors that, hey, you buy the property, you get paid every month, all right? Now, of course, if there's a vacancy, obviously you're not going to get paid, but normally they fulfill those. Now, with the turnkey companies, some of them, they work with a property management company or they have the property management company in-house, okay? So let's dissect the deal that may come from a property management company. Let's say a property is worth $100,000. Well, that turnkey company, they're going to sell it to you for $90,000, $95,000. Some may sell it to you as much as $110,000. And they may say, hey, the reason why we're selling to you for $110,000 because we don't base it off the value, but off the return on your money. And that property may rent for $1,100, okay? So for this example, we're gonna use that, hey, you bought the property for $95,000, you have $5,000 worth of equity in the property and it rents for $1,100. And all you have to do is sit back and accept payments and look at your income statement every month if you choose to. But you don't have equity in the deal, right? And let's say that you might need to do a fire sale or whatever the case may be. That deal may be hard to get out of without losing money, okay? So, but when you're doing a turnkey deal, you should be looking at least, 5 to 10 years of collecting these payments. That's what most of the people do, all right? So with the turnkey, one of the benefits is they take out the variable of the remodel, right? For those who don't know, when you are remodeling the property, you can have a home run deal, all right? A home run deal, and a contractor can turn that home run deal into horse manure, all right? They take that off the table. They handle that variable so you don't have to deal with that. Yes, contractors don't only take advantage of homeowners, they also take advantage of investors too. What are the first 3 letters in contractors? It is con, literally, okay? So when you are rehabbing properties, that's the one variable that's going to determine if you're going to be successful or not. You can have the greatest deal, but if you get the wrong contractor, they will drag you through the mud. So they take that off of the plate, right? So if you are an out-of-state investor, this may be a plus to you because you like, well, I don't have to worry about dealing with contractors. They deal with everything. The property is being managed. Listen, all I got to do is come in with the cash and I start receiving payments. This may be good for someone out of state, right? Because of that variable of dealing with contractor. All right. Now, let's look at that same deal if you went out and you found it yourself, right? So let's say the property is worth $100,000. You bought it for $50,000. You put $20,000 into it, okay? Now you force the appreciation to $100,000. Now you have a $30,000 equity spread. All right. Now with that $30,000 equity spread, if the market goes down, if you ever get into some type of financial trouble, or you need to do a fire sale, you have that option to sell it and still walk away with a profit. Okay. Now, let's say you put a tenant in there and that tenant is paying $1,100 for this property that you're all in for $70,000. You have $30,000 in equity and you have an $1,100 payment, right? And the reason why you get rewarded is because you dealt with that one variable, which is extremely difficult, which is dealing with contractors, okay? So you're rewarded by the equity and by the return on your money. Now, what do you have to do next? You have to get a property management company. Not all property management companies are created equal. You have good, great, and terrible, all right? So don't think just because they're a property management company, they're good. They're gonna tell you that. But you want to ask questions like how long you've been in business, okay? Ideally, you want somebody who's been in business for at least 5 years, okay? Because you know they're probably not gonna go anywhere or go under if they've been in business for at least 5 years. Your chances to go under decreases, okay? So you want somebody that's been in business for 5 years. And even though a turnkey investor is hands off, I still think you need to have some education in real estate, even if it's basic, because you need to know what you're buying, right? Like, are you buying A class real estate, B class, C, or D? Let me break it down. A class is your upscale real estate. B class, upper middle class. C class, lower middle class. D class, low income areas, AKA the hoods, right? So the bulk of my properties are in D and C areas, okay? Those are areas that I focused on. Now those areas have prime, it's prime real estate, right? So because of gentrification. But with these particular areas that I'm in, if you have a C or a D level property, you need a property management company who manages C and D level properties. That's what you need, okay? You have to have that. That A level guy cannot manage a C and D level guy. He does not understand the working poor. He or she does just not understand that. You'll have a hood property, and here it is, they focused on what's the person credit score, and it's like, yo, dude, like, just focus on job stability. All right. They have no evictions in the last 5 years. Somebody with a 750 is not going to move into this area. Okay. But that A level and B level manager might not understand that. So you want to get a property manager that manages that asset class. Now, a D level or C level guy can manage an A or a B level property. All right, because they have the process and systems in place. All right. Now, if you have an A level or B level, yeah, it might be better because they have the clientele already lined up that they want for their properties. But as far as giving them C and D level stuff, I wouldn't recommend that. It'd be a mess and your stuff would just get pushed to the back burner because they'll say, oh, we don't have a tenant for that yet. With the property management companies, right? When picking one, even with my turnkey people, you want to make sure they have a good property management company. Like, you don't want one whereas they're just nickel and diming you, right? What do I mean? Well, they charge you every year. They send an email. They charge you $100 to the tenant to e-sign the renewal of the lease for another year. And they come to you, well, we locked them in for another year, and they charge you $100. Like, you didn't have to do that. They could have just defaulted to month. I'd have been okay with that. So you definitely don't want a property management company. Let me say this, that they charge you a monthly fee even when the property is vacant. That benefits them. That doesn't benefit you. Yeah, so those property management companies that got those fancy cars around town, you with their logos on them, and they got multiple cars on the street. Yeah, you better ask about their fees. All right, you know what I mean? Like, okay, not only your management fee, but what other fees that you come with. Some property management companies will look you straight in the face and tell you, you're not allowed to work on your house. Only we can do the work with our approved contractors because of it has to be to our standard. AKA, yeah, you can probably get this job done for $3,000, but because we're going to do it, we're going to charge you $7,500. All right. You know what I mean? So stuff like that. You want to be careful of that, whether you do turnkey or whether you picking out your own property management company. And, for the out-of-state investors, unfortunately, they probably just have to deal with that, not by choice, but because they're out of state. So that's something to consider when buying turnkey or doing it yourself. Now, of course, if you're in New York, LA, Connecticut, or any other high cost of living place, these things may sound good because they take off that variable of dealing with a contractor and actually dealing with the headache of being a landlord, and you're just getting the payments. You know what I mean? So that if that's your thing, well, this may work out. But if you're local, then I don't think you should do turnkey. I think that you should go out there and put the work in and get the $30,000 worth of equity. And not only get the $30,000 worth of equity, get the high level of return on your money. And not only get the high level return on your money, go out there and find the best property management company for your asset. All right. So in conclusion, I would probably choose going out there on my own, just for an example, right? Back in 2022, I bought a property for 140, put 20 into it. I rented it out. It cash flowed. And today that property is probably worth 300, a little bit over $300,000. Now, you tell me, what job do you get $100,000 pay increase in 3 years? You know what I mean? I don't even care if it's just an equity number. It's $100,000. Let's say the market goes down 10, 20%. All right, my $100,000, what was that turn into, right? If it goes down, all right, 70,000, okay, 50,000 is a paper number. As long as it cash flow, I'm good, but I found that deal. And then when the market goes back, it'll probably surpass that $100,000, all right? So listen, to me, I like to find my own deals, but turnkey may work, especially if you find a good turnkey company and you're out of state. So it kind of like depends, right? If you're in Cali, New York City, or Connecticut, or North Jersey, one of these high cost of living places, then yeah, you probably gotta do turnkey. But if you're not there and you're local, get out there, find a deal on your own. Yes, you're gonna have contractor issues, but success is not easy. Just keep failing forward. Now, make sure you click on that video next to me, man, because listen, there's people out there that don't want you to own, and you should own. All right? Listen, I'm Nasser, aka the real estate guru. I'm not a guru, I'm a doer because I actually do this business. Peace.